60 years on, Charade feels like a time capsule. The perfect 60s, the perfect Paris, the perfect romantic leads. The movie's writer and director have both balked at that characterization, saying that nobody in Hollywood wanted to make a comic thriller back in the 60s, and the script was refused by 7 different studios before some marketing trickery got someone's attention. Even Cary Grant was in and out of the project, having his doubts about the script. This was not what 1963 looked like to people in 1963. All well and good, but here in 2025, this is what I want 1963 to look like. Givenchy costumes, snappy dialogue, and a mid-century Paris that's both as glamorous and grimy as, say, Breakfast at Tiffany's New York. If you're even a mild James Bond fan, the opening titles by Maurice Bender and the crashingly cool music by Henry Mancini are a thrill ride unto themselves. It's a better intro than most of the flashy credits which Bender gifted to Bond. A widow learns that her mysterious and recently murdered husband stole a fortune of Nazi loot from his war buddies, all of whom are sure that she's got the money. The husband was thrown off a train, only leaving behind a bag full of assorted passports, some toothpaste, and a farewell letter. The wife, desperate, flirtatiously takes on a total stranger as her protector, since the French police and the CIA are doing very little to help. But her new beau may be in cahoots with the villains. The plot crams in as many twists and turns as it can. It doesn't need to, partially because it's equally crammed with laughs and suspense. The leads are the 1960s past king and current queen of romantic comedies, Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn. Their meet cute in the film's opening is some of my favorite screen dialogue of all time.
Do we know each other?
Why do you think we're going to?
I don't know. How would I know?
Because I already know an awful lot of people, and until one of them dies, I couldn't possibly meet anyone else.
Well, if anyone goes on the critical list, let me know.
Quitter.
Hepburn's steely resolve in that scene wavers once her husband turns up dead. Her apartment has been ransacked, and the police inform her that the mister had either been a crook or a spy. Incidentally, the police chief here is played by Jacques Marin, who pops up in a lot of movies, but who I mostly love for the Disney adventure film Island at the Top of the World. The film is full of great character actors, some of whom soon went on to become A-listers. James Coburn, Walter Matthau, George Kennedy. The scene where the 3 killers are introduced at the husband's funeral may be the greatest silent introduction of major characters until The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Matthau, for his part, is hilarious as a slovenly CIA desk jockey.
I've got liverwurst, chicken, and liverwurst.
Chicken.
Back to Hepburn. She came to Charade after a series of frustrating film experiences, especially the poorly received Paris When It Sizzles, starring opposite a troubled William Holden with whom she had a long ago fling, and worrying that her own husband, Mel Ferrer, was losing interest in her. She hated her own teeth. Grant, at one point between takes, patted her hands and said, "You need to learn to like yourself a little more." Good advice for Audrey Hepburn. And probably good advice for the rest of us, too. But Hepburn, never really shy, came to Charade with a list of demands. Her favorite cinematographer, Givenchy clothing. Walter Matthau claimed that he learned more about costuming from Audrey Hepburn than from any director in his career. And her co-star was to be Cary Grant, without whom she would not make the film. The film's sexual politics are quirky. Hepburn's unquestionably a damsel in distress, seeking protection from a big, strong man against other big, well, mostly big, strong men. And despite casting one of Hollywood's most glamorous actresses, clad in a series of flattering outfits, none of the men, including Grant, ever sexualize her. The 3 reprobates snarl and leer, but they always leer over her money, never over her body. Grant, it should be said, was reluctant to play a 60-year-old man pursuing a 33-year-old beauty, rather like Roger Moore hanging up his Bond hat after learning that he was older than the Bond girl's mother in View to a Kill. So it is Hepburn who relentlessly chases after Grant, as he tries to meekly shake her off, mocking their age difference.
Serious. When a man gets to be my age, that's the last word he ever wants to hear. I don't want to be serious. And I especially don't want you to be.
He does eventually capitulate to her charms, but he assures her,
Well, what would you like me to say? That a pretty girl with an outrageous manner means more to an old pro like me than $250,000?
Hepburn is far less interested in her husband's missing fortune than everybody else is, even if ultimately she's the one who eventually works out where it's hidden. What she does pursue is her own survival, and romance with Grant. The quippy, steely woman who we met at the ski lodge is still there throughout, even as she seeks male protection from Grant, the gendarmerie, and the CIA. I confess a weakness for geographically specific movies, even ones that are partially filmed on sets because of the glacial cold in Paris and the inability to actually destroy the American Express building's neon sign. Charade spends time in the subway, the colonnades of Molière's own Théâtre de Palais Royal, the now-gone Place des Halles, the Café Mancini, and the cheesy but utterly charming Bateau Mouche. It's a mini vacation, though admittedly more time is spent in grotty hotels than you'd like, and certainly more time being haunted by murderous thugs. This has been called the best Hitchcock film that Hitchcock never made. Comparisons with To Catch a Thief, Rear Window, or North by Northwest are easy. Each of these thrillers about people thrust into dangerous, big-stakes games, featuring stunners throwing themselves at an aging charmer, in 2 cases played by Cary Grant himself.
You want a leg or a breast?
You make the choice.
And each contains a healthy dose of humor. But unlike those classic thrillers, Charade has also gained accolades as one of the funniest films of all time.
How do you shave in there?
Jonathan Demme, no slouch, remade this in 2002 as The Truth About Charlie, starring Mark Wahlberg, Thandie Newton, and Tim Robbins. French cred contributions from Charles Aznavour, Agnes Varda, and Anna Karina. Yet with all that star power, the movie is just fine. Despite all its artistic efforts, it just doesn't have the desperation and cool that the 1963 original offers. Charade was lightning in a bottle. You want a mid-century aspirational lifestyle movie? A tour of the highest and lowest parts of Paris? A Hitchcockian thriller? A fluffy romantic comedy? A meditation on age differences in Hollywood? Charade covers a lot of ground, and it does it with grace, wit, and a little bit of murder.